All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakak Kudash. Double honors under the elders of Apostle Great Millstone, the elders Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. The sincere servant say Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, serve him with truth and sincerity. Of course, coming out here in Babylon, great teaching the word of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai. And they, of course, Thanksgiving just passed, or Thanksgiving, which of course, is basically going into the Thanksgiving of, basically Esau giving Thanksgiving for taking the land of those so-called Native Americans, Latinos. And with all these things happening, you still have our people, celebrating this holiday, as if again, nothing's, of course, happening within Earth. If you can give me real quick, it's the one scripture in the New Testament. It's as in the days of Noah.
Okay.
Basically paraphrasing. Because just as in the days of Noah, where people weren't, of course, listening to what Noah was saying. Well, of course, now the same thing, in these present times are happening. People aren't hearkening onto the prophets. And when I say people, I'm mainly referring onto our people, because really it's charged for our people to repent. Our people, the Israelites, of course, by being the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos. So if you got that,
yeah. So this is the book of Luke 17 and 26. It says, "And as it was in the day of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all."
Exactly. So what? Back then it was a flood, and it was also the ark. But now, today, is going to be a different type of flood. It's going to be, of course, it's going to be a fire. And of course,
flood of fire.
Yeah, flood of fire.
Yep.
That's the scriptures going to the lake of fire, of course. So what's going to go from water to fire, and of course Of course, Yahushua's coming back and to bring the ark for the nation of Israel. Of course, which are going to be the chariots of salvation. Of course, to deliver the elect, and as the scriptures go into, of course, Wisdom Solomon chapter 5, it goes into how our enemies are going to be held us, going up into the chariots. Saying that, is this a man, that we of course or pretty much had, what's the word?
In derision.
Yeah, in derision. If you can get that too, but you can continue.
Yeah, verse 28. "Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all."
Yeah, exactly. And again, this day can come at any point. And of course, we're linking these up. We're linking up the current events of prophecy. We're of course waiting for the implementation of the mark of the beast. And, with that, the destruction, will soon happen after. But hey, as we know, of course, again, Esau moving with these things could happen at any moment. Mass blackout. Of course, happening at any moment. Basically Esau putting down the hammer and moving at any point. The point is that as the scriptures say, Yahushua's coming back as a thief in the night. So you won't be able to predict when he's going to come back. So if you can read that again.
Yep, Luke 17 and 28. "Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven."
Yeah, exactly. And just because Esau says, okay, we're going to build this in 2030, 2035, we're going to build this, we're going to make sure that this is built. Hey, it doesn't mean that Esau is going to get to that point, because ultimately, the Lord is the one who decides that.
Yep, got a precept for that. This is the book of Job 5 and 12. It says, "He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise."
Exactly. So whenever and you can go and get that word for enterprise. But you know what? Ultimately, whatever Esau is planning, if it's against the Lord's plans, then it won't come to pass. And as we know, what the scriptures say, how the Lord is shortening the days for the elect's sake. So, and also what the scriptures go into, how he thought that his rulership would be forever. But what the scriptures also say that he has an appointed time in the book of Job, I believe. It says how Esau ultimately has a time that's appointed. So what is 1 second, that this devil can't go over, and that's his appointed time.
Yep. God, I'll read that one more time. This is Job 5:12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
Exactly. So, ultimately, Yahweh Shem Yahshua is going to disappoint the wicked. In Psalm, there's a precept that goes into how basically Psalm of David, I believe, going to the Lord disappointing the wicked. And of course, ultimately that's what's going to happen. So if you got the word.
Yep. So that word for enterprise is Thawashaya. It says wisdom, sound knowledge, success, sound or efficient wisdom, abiding success. It also says support or by implication ability, help in purpose.
Yeah, and what ultimately it goes into Isaiah, how Esau is planning these different things beyond closed doors, basically paraphrasing. So Esau's has basically his counsel, his plans that he's planning for, but ultimately none of it's gonna come to pass. That of course the Lord doesn't want to come to pass.
Right.
Because of course, at the end of the day, we understand how the Lord uses Esau, to kill two birds with one stone. Lord uses Esau as a pawn to do his bidding. So this is the demand, of course, of the sword. So ultimately, as it goes into Genesis, or in the book of Genesis, basically goes into how Esau has been blessed with a sword, and ultimately. The Lord, of course, uses Esau as a sword basically to be used to push out his judgment, or the Lord using Esau to fulfill the will of the Lord.
Yep.
To put it like that.
Yeah, I got another precept. This is the book of Job 20:23. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating.
Exactly, while he's eating, and we know ultimately the final goal that Esau wants is to achieve his NWO. That's the final thing that he wants to achieve. So as he's rolling, and of course right now he's rolling in that new system. But once he mandates that mark, many people take it. Hey, And basically Esau using his AI to tell him, things are going good. The predictions are this. This amount of people will take it until this time, or this set time, whatever. Hey, ultimately, as the scriptures, as you just read, the Lord's going to disappoint the wicked. Yep. And as the scripture also say, basically. Esau's counselors are going to fail him. AI is serving as a big counselor for Esau, because he's able to collect all this data and put into AI to get basically what's the word? Basically to get a report on what he wants, basically. Gone. So if you don't got anything, you can go back onto the times of Noah.
Yeah, I got you. All right. This is the book of Luke 17:28. It says, likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all.
Just like in the days of Lot. The same thing happened. Go ahead.
Verse 30. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Verse 31. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back.
Yeah, calm. And that's it on there. But
All right,
that's the point. So ultimately, again, the Lord's coming back at a time when you least expect him to come back. Just like, of course, in the days of Noah, just like in the days of Lot.
Yep.
Gone, so you can go ahead and get. You can go ahead and get Matthew chapter 24.
All right. God. This book of Matthew 24. And we'll start at.
You can start at verse 3.
Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
Yeah, so all the things that he just read. Well, obviously we're currently, of course, in those times. What the wars, rumors of wars, pestilences, famines, earthquakes. Again, clearly we're seeing all these things happening. We can go into 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Going in again, describing the events, that are either happening right now, or we can see it very, very soon happening.
Right.
So yeah, you can
keep going.
Yeah.
All right. Verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, we understand that is ultimately things will get a lot worse.
Right.
So technically, we're still in the of course in the Slakia. We're in the beginning of sorrows.
Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
Yeah, and Khan, also that's coming too. Ultimately, the scriptures as we just read, and of course, Yahushua himself said that we're gonna suffer through persecution. So it's of course gonna be a time when Esau of course demonizes the prophets. And of course, we understand how Esau is setting up the stage to do that. AI, and of course, all these different his plans that he's making, again to do that, to demonize the prophets.
Verse 10. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many.
Yeah, exactly. Because when the Lord cranks up the heat, because as the scriptures say, Lord's going to try his elect as gold in a fire.
Right.
And ultimately we want to be that gold in a fire. And of course also the scriptures go into wood and chaff. Basically how wood that's easily, it's like that's easily of course burnable. Go ahead and get. Well, let me go ahead and find that for you. But you can keep on reading.
Yeah. Matthew 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
Yeah. So what the love of many will wax cold, and of course we're seeing that. So a lot of people. Well, they're starting to turn again bitter,
right?
At basically, these things that are happening.
Yeah.
So go ahead. No, you got it.
Yeah, everybody is on edge, man. You know, everybody's on the verge of, you know, crashing out, doing something to somebody. All right. You know, these are the type of times that we're living in. All right. And brothers, you know, always go into, especially during these times, you got to be circumspect, man. All right. Don't put yourself in, you know, certain situations that, you know, is unwise. All right. Don't be around certain people you shouldn't be around, in certain environments you shouldn't be in. All right. Because of, you know, this scripture and the type of times that we in, man. You know. So keep reading. Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
Exactly. So, and you know, that's a cut right there to, you know, to the Christians that believe that as soon as you you accept JC, as they say,
right,
you know, well, you're saved, which is that's false. Ultimately, well, you have to endure unto the end, and then you're going to be saved. And ultimately, what, we know how the predestined, the elect, you know, they're already saved through, of course, Yahushua. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, we don't understand, we don't know 100% if we're part of the elect. But as the scriptures say, you know, we have to make our calling and election sure.
That's it. Verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Yeah, and what? Of course, right now we're seeing that, you know, this gospel is being preached, you know, throughout the whole entire planet. You know, you can go on literally any continent, and what you're gonna find the men of the Lord teaching. You know, Europe. You know, of course, you got Asia. You know, you got brothers in Africa. You got brothers, of course, in you know, North America, South America, Central America.
Yep.
The point is that this word is going out, and ultimately, you know, we understand how the word is. It's like how the internet is the heavy lifter. So, well, you know, the Lord uses the internet as a heavy lifter, you know, to push out this word.
Okay.
For a witness unto all nations, because, you know, ultimately it's going to be no excuse, because again, this word has gone out. You know, the prophets have spoken. Right. So again, it's up. Well, really, it's not up to you, but again, you know, Lord is telling the nation of Israel to repent and get right, His people.
Yeah. That's it. And, you know, you can't say that you didn't know, you know, because, you know, the way that this word is going out, all right, you know, some brothers believed, you know, the elect may be sealed already, all right, but still, you know, this word, you know, still has to go out, you know, until the family of the word hits, and then that's when the people is going to be coming, you know, looking for this word, right? Scripture's going to seeking, you know, to and fro, right, for the word of the Lord. All right, but at that time, you know, it's going to be too late. All right, that's why it's important, all right, to, you know, not to tarry, all right, and take it serious now, because the scriptures also say peace and safety and then sudden destruction, right? The day of the Lord being a thief in the night. All right, so we know we can't slack off and tarry, all right, because, you know, we know that, hey, that day is coming, man, and we have faith that day is going to come very, very soon.
Yeah, you know, people don't understand the value of something, you know, until it's actually taken away.
Yep.
So, you know, until you know, what, and as Scripture's going to, and as a brother just you know, pointed out, as the Scriptures say, well, you know, it's going to be a time when the Lord pulls back His prophets. The Scriptures say how the tongues are going to cleave to the roof of our mouths.
Right.
You know, going into what, the Lord pulling us back. And again, you know, again, you know, people won't truly understand the value of something until it's actually taken away. Which the most valuable thing you can get right now is this word. As the scriptures go into Isaiah chapter 33:6, you know, wisdom knowledge shall be the stability of thy times.
Right.
So, you know, it's not going to be your guns, it's not going to be your stockpiling, it's not going to be your doomsday prep you got. Ultimately, the thing that's going to, of course, you know, get you through these times is this wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Because, you know, of course, with the wisdom, again, you know, you're going to have the answers. You know, you're going to know what to do, which was ultimately, you know, trust in Yahweh Bashim Shai. You know, with that, of course, the elect are going to be good, and, you know, all things will come with that.
Yep.
You know, trusting in the Lord, and of course, doing what He said to do, doing His will.
Right, yeah, I'll get that too. This Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is His treasure. So having the fear of Yahweh Bashim Shai, of course, is likened unto a treasure, right? something that is valuable, something that is hard to come by. All right, that's this word, right? Because the Lord is only dealing with a remnant, you know. So this truth is something that's precious, man. All right, something that's above any type of worldly gain you can get in this world, right? Worldly possession. All right, we got the truth, man. See, and this was going to take you to get that salvation, right? Take you to the kingdom. All right, but as the brother, as we just read, you got to endure until the end, man. Have that fear of the Lord, have that stability, right? Being your fear of the Lord, being your faith in the scriptures, right? Being in the right spirit,
Yeah, Con. But again, this word is like treasure. And ultimately, Lord has a word that this word is very abundant. You can go on go on YouTube, where you got hundreds of videos per day. That's going out, across the brotherhood.
Yep.
Showing you that this is very abundant right now. The word. Yep, gone. Where you got it?
Yeah. I'll read that again. Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
There you have it.
All right. So let me get Did you have that? Did you find the other scripture that you wanted?
Oh yeah, let me get that. So this is Second Ezra chapter 16 and 73. It says, "Then shall they be known who are not chosen." It says, "And they shall be tried as gold in the fire." Again, going into the elect being tried as gold in the fire, meaning that it's not like, we're gonna instantly be delivered as these things happen, because we know the Christians go into a rapture, which again, that's not biblical. The scriptures say how we have to pass through, these different things.
That's right.
We can also get Zechariah chapter, of course, what the book is Zechariah chapter, what is it's like 9. Where it goes into how the 1/3 will be tried in the fire. Again, showing you that we will have to pass through these certain things, but the difference is, it says verse 74, it says, "Hear, O you my beloved, say to the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." See, so the Lord's going to deliver the elect from those days of trouble. That's the difference. We're going to be delivered, and ultimately we're going to be reserved. Ultimately, these judgments are set up, of course, for the wicked.
Yeah.
And again, Lord's, again, so what, as we just read, it says, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and 73, it says, "Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire." It says, "Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." Exactly. So Yahweh Shem Yashai is going to deliver the elect and reserve them. To get this real quick, it says 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and 27. It says, "Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance." See, so ultimately, what the elect will have abundance and be merry. Because again, ultimately the Lord is gonna, of course, deliver the elect. Of course, miracles, spiritual power. Well, and what, as the scriptures say, or as we already know, what the Lord is going to give or do for his elect are going to exceed what he did, for the Israelites back then. And of course, with Esau and his, in these times, with these new things, Esau's military and his technology. Ultimately, Yahweh Shem Yashai would have to, of course, again, up, of course, Slacky, up, his the power, to put it like that. It says, 2 chapter 2 and 28. It says, the heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith the Lord. It says, my hand shall cover thee, so thy children shall not see hell. And no, that's not talking about no spiritual hell. Of course, that just means death.
Right.
But yeah, that's it on that.
Yeah, I got a scripture. This the book of Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Yeah, Khan, and we can get Revelation chapter 13 too. But what? As we know, of course, that the hour of temptation is going to be when Esau mandates the mark of the beast, which is the implant. Well, that's ultimately the sea hip. That's of course that's the mark of the beast. As small as a grain of rice, as they like to put it. That right there's the mark of the beast. And again, the hour of temptation is going to be when Esau, of course, mandates it, so that you won't be able to do anything in the society unless you take it.
Yep.
So, Slacky, if you can read that again.
Yeah. So this is the book of Revelation 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Yeah, and ultimately, the ones who keep it the word of the Lord's patience, which, of course, doing His will, doing what He said it to, of course, onto the end. Well, those are going to be the same ones who are protected and reserved. Because again, you're going to have a special spirit upon you, a special, of course, covering upon you, to resist the hour of temptation. Because again, Jake thinks that it's going to be easy. Nah, man. Jake just chilling. Nah, man. I'm not going to take it.
Right. Yeah. But they're not built up.
Yeah. They're not built up. Jake think that he can just chill. Nah, man. Nah. If I say, if I believe, I'm not going to take it there. I'm not going to. But that's not how it is. Because again, once the affliction turns up, once Esau has it where you won't be able to buy or sell anything within society. Once Esau has it where you won't be able to do anything within society. Again, that's when things are that will ultimately, that's when Jake's really gonna see it at that point. Because again, everything here is buying and selling. You gotta pay for your rent, you gotta pay for your bills. Obviously, if you don't have the mark, you won't be able to of course, have a job. So, ultimately, the stakes are going to be high. Esau's going to make the stakes very high. But again, as we just read, the Lord's going to protect, his elect, of course, from the hour of temptation.
Yeah, you gotta view it like whatever your vices or whatever it is in this kingdom that you use to get by. Esau, he's going to take that away, in order for you to take that sea hip. Whether it's you on social media, your possessions, all right, your job, all right, because people have an attachment to these different things. All right, you see people on social media crying about their jobs going away. We seen with the TikTok ban, right? The people was losing their minds over that. All right, so just imagine when it's something serious, man. These different people, they depend on prescription drugs, different things to get by. If they can't have that, then they're going to feel like they're justified in taking the mark because of health issues, health conditions.
Yep. Gone. You can go ahead and get a 13.
Got Superman in town today, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
How you guys doing anyway?
Pretty good, pretty
This
good.
church or what?
Children of Israel, 12 tribes of the
it's
nation of
church. He
Israel.
said it's his church. Yes, it is church.
Far?
Oh, it's like,
Answer-
I
answer
thought
his question.
It's like, I thought you said short.
That's far away from me.
Yeah, we're out here teaching the word of the Heavenly Father.
Oh, you're Superman too today. go to Superman. Nice. Bring some spirit in this town. Nice. Party time.
Yeah, we're gonna
Follow
get,
with some good music.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the scriptures. So this is you want a Revelation 13.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one, all right?
Yep, Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
And of course, we know the image is going, of course, into the system. And we know, of course, the beast is the EU and the NATO. And ultimately, what we know that the image that they want is of course, what the NWO. So that's what Esau setting up.
Yep. Verse 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you read again.
Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads.
Yeah, causing meaning, of course, what he's going to mandate it. So, and again, we can get the word for a mark, but ultimately it goes into the Greek word phragma, which means what? If physical stamp. Also what? It's like a scratch or etching. Meaning that what? It's gonna, and as we just read, it's gonna go in the right hand or in the forehead. So it's gonna be something that goes under the skin, and obviously it's gonna be something that's physical. This mark is ultimately going to connect you onto the image of the beast. The new system that they're bringing.
Yep. Yeah. So that word for mark in the Greek is charagma. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark, thing carved, sculpture, graven work. It says scratch or etching as a badge of servitude. Graven mark.
Yep, gone. Yep, there you have it.
Yep.
So again, it's going to be something that's engraven.
Yep, something physical.
Yeah, something physical. The scriptures go into graven images.
Yep.
So obviously, it's not going to be something that's spiritual, something that's in it's like something that's not tangible. Again, it's going to it's going to be something that's physical and tangible.
Yep. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Exactly, and what that right there is our temptation. When ultimately, again, as like it. As we just read, what ultimately you won't be able to buy or sell without it. So again, that right there is our temptation. So in Slucky, if you can read the next verse.
Yep, verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Yeah, and of course, when you go throughout Esau society or whatever his companies, whatever. Again, we understand how this is that number that this devil loves to use.
Yep.
You can go into the barcode. You'll find the 666 there. You can go into these different company logos. Such as Disney, and so on and so forth. Well, Esau has the 3 6s, of course, within it. The Monster, of course. You got the energy drink. It's like a Monster, which is what it's 3. It's like it's 3 was going into the 6th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So this is that number that, of course, he loves to use.
Did you want me to bring out something else? Or I'll bring out that Zechariah. Zechariah 13 and 8. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
Yeah, going into, again, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel and the 2/3. 1/3 of the nation of Israel, of course, within America are of course, going to be reserved. And then, you're going to have the 2/3 that perish. Showing you that not all Israelites will receive salvation. Only an elect will receive salvation.
Right.
So that's why it's important for us to teach onto the ultimately we teach the word, but we understand how the word's only going to hit the ears of the elect. Hidden mean that they're going to, of course, understand it. So ultimately we're only concerned about the elect. We're not concerned about the 2/3.
Yep. Verse 9, and I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power.
And we understand how the elect will have the name, showing you how important the name is. It's to say, Acts chapter 4 and 12, how there's none other name, but of course, given among men, whereby we select it, or about basic paraphrasing, there's only one name, given among men. Well, of course, given among the Israelites, because the Lord's not concerned about the other nations. So if you can read that again, the last verse.
Zechariah 13 and 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. Again,
so going into the elect being tried. But again, as we just, as we just read, of course, what the Lord's going to deliver the elect. And again, it goes to show you how important the name is. It's like it. Ultimately, you can't call upon, of course, any name. You can only call upon one name, which is Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai.
It says, I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power. Yep. All right.
Gone. So if you can get real quick, John chapter 9:4.
God. This is the book of John chapter 9 and 4. It says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work.
Exactly. So ultimately, that's us. We understand how we can only do this for so long until all these things. Ultimately, Lord, closes the doors of mercy. So as the grace period is open, we're supposed to be taking advantage of the liberty that Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai has given us, which is to do this work. And to serve him, I was going to say, we have to make full proof, or full use or full proof of our, of course, of our, or of the ministry. So read again.
John 9 and 4. It says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work.
Exactly. So again, this is only for. Ultimately, what doing this work is only for. It's only for an appointed time. So it's going to come to a point where again, Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai pulls back his hand, and it closes the doors of mercy, and then after that it's going to be too late.
Yep. Yeah, I got some. This is the book of Proverbs 1:20. It says, wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make my known my words unto you.
Exactly what, and as you can see right here, well, wisdom is crying out. Again, so what, the Lord set up his prophets so that what? Again, so that this wisdom can come out. The prophecies. Again, what's coming to pass very, very soon. What's happening now as we're speaking. Again, wisdom is crying out. It also said in the chief place of concourse. Right. Meaning what? We're out in the open, and you can see us easily. Again, yeah. So going into how this word is easily accessible.
Right. Putting out our bodies as a living sacrifice, right? Going out and pretty much being exposed to danger, right? Exposed to the elements, As the scripture also says in Romans 12:1, it's our reasonable service, Basically saying, it's the least that we can do, after, going off, being away from the Lord, all right? We're putting in the work, right? We're laboring, right, to be back in good graces with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, detaching ourselves from the world, all right. You may have to cut off, certain relationships, which that's all goes into the faith we have in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai,
Yeah, if you're friends with an actual Edomite, you can't be friends with him no more. He's an actual Edomite, but then how would you know? So the scriptures tell you that the angels are going to separate the righteous from the wicked, the actual Israelites from amongst the actual Gentiles. All right, you got these two demons, like I said a couple weeks ago, that they were going to go through all the scriptures and try to reframe how the word was taught through a great millstone in different Israelite groups, which is the correct way when it comes to the strangers. All right. So the reason why Israel went into slavery is because we disobeyed the law of Yahushua, or the law of Yahweh, with idolatry. That was the main reason. It wasn't because we didn't bring the nations in to be pseudo Israelites. Right? That's not a sin of Israel during Isaiah's time, Jeremiah's time. That wasn't a sin because there was no such doctrine. No prophet taught to bring people that were not of the seed of Jacob in, but it was taught to bring in the Israelites that were scattered abroad, amongst Jeremiah's time, Isaiah's time, the prophets before Yahushua. All right, because you look up those words, especially in Exodus 12th chapter, it talks about the stranger or sojourner. Okay, the stranger and sojourner. Okay, a person that's an actual heathen is not a sojourner. That doesn't even make sense. The reason why the word there in English is sojourner is because that's an Israelite that's traveling. Okay, it's not a universal word where an actual someone that's another nation is traveling around, and because he travels around, he gets to be an Israelite if he's circumcised. That doesn't make no damn sense. It makes zero sense whatsoever. The reason why it's labeled sojourner is because these are Israelites that are supposed to be with the main camp of Israel before the land was developed, the borders of Israel, and that the Israelites when the borders of Israel were established, they were dwelling outside of the land, so they would be labeled sojourners. Okay, someone that's not an Israelite, that had nothing to do with Israel, you couldn't label him a sojourner. That it doesn't dramatically make any sense. All right, they would just be another nation. All right, so but we know, according to the law, that the sojourner is talking about the Israelites, because the word there is gar. All right, the word there is gar. All right, and in certain instances, I believe you have one or two instances where the word Nakar is used there. All right, And that Nakar still refers to the Israelites. But virtually 99% of the time, the word Nakar means to act to another nation. Right? So give me the law, sojourners, strangers and sojourners, however it's worded, they circumcised and they can take part in the Sabbath.
Got
The
it.
12th chapter.
It says Exodus chapter 12 and 43, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof.
Right, there shall no stranger eat thereof. All right. So look up that word.
So the Hebrew word is nakar, meaning it says foreign, alien, foreignness, that which is foreign.
So that's the word that's actually supposed to be there. In the New Testament, Greek is not that. That's based upon the different opinions of whoever translated it. Because they translated it from Greek, and they would choose whatever word they want there, right? Because Yahweh Shai's name and Joshua's name is the same exact in the Greek. So why would it be different in the Hebrew? So they pick and choose what words they want to use there. They use Yahshua for Yahweh Shai in the New Testament Greek, and New Testament Hebrew, which is the same equivalent to Joshua's name, which is Yahweh Shai. Which when you go to the Greek, it's the same equivalent. It's Jesus. Both of them are Jesus in the Greek. So, but why, when you put Jesus' name and then Joshua's name, you got two different Hebrew words? Because they chose to put Yahshua right there, however you pronounce it in the Edomite Hebrew. All right. So when you go back to the law, the Nakar is actually the other nations, and it's only one or two other spots when the car is talking about the Israelite. All right. So go ahead, read that again.
It says Exodus chapter 12 and 43, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. For every man's servant that is bought for money, without hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. It says a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
All right, continue.
It says, in one house shall it be eaten, thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it.
All right, read it again.
It says, Exodus chapter 12 and 43, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover, there shall no stranger eat thereof.
All right, that's the actual heathen. All right, what?
It says, well, every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner, it says, a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
What?
It says, in one house shall it be eaten, thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it.
So it makes a distinction. Go ahead.
It says, and when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised.
All right, look that word up.
So stranger, it says, gar in the Hebrew. It says sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. It says all foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights.
Right, so that's referring to the Israelites. So gar, so the word gar there refers to the Israelites. All right, if you want to get specific. All right, Nakar refers to someone that's not an Israelite, and Nakar refers to not an Israelite, and the Israelites that didn't stay within the main camp or in the land of Israel. They were journeying around. All right, because eventually they were going to come back home. You know, when the kingdom come, they're going to come back home. But they're on a journey. That's why it's labeled sojourner, someone that travels. So it's not talking about anybody that travels. It's referring to the Israelites that are traveling. What? From where? From the Commonwealth of Israel, from the main camp where the majority of Israelites dwell at the time. Right, but now we're scattered all over the earth. So it's needful. But when we talk about the Israelites coming back into the fold, you have to label them based upon the nations that they're in. So they may be labeled Egypt, Babylonian, Rome, Greece, all right? Barbarians, you gotta label them that way. So they know that you're talking about them, that they can come back to the fold, right? But they have to be Israelites. So if they're not Israelites, eventually they'll be weeded out, all right? So if they come back in, you say the barbarian can come in, the Egyptian can come in, the Arabian can come in. If they're not of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're going to eventually be weeded out. They're not going to be able to stand the test. Because it's going to tell you, because as we continue to teach and they continue to learn, they're going to find out that the actual Arabs, Ishmael, and Midian, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be in slavery. Actual Babylonians, the Greeks, they're going to go into slavery. They're going to be destroyed. So that spirit, if that's an actual one of those nations, they're going to fall off. Because their actual people are going to be destroyed. But if they're of the seed of Jacob, then they're going to continue, because they know in their true heart, their mind, that they are the sons of God, sons of Jacob. Simple as that. Yeah, more.
Con.
Oh no, that's it.
Go to Isaiah, the 14th chapter.
I got something too. This is the book of Exodus 2 and 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And that's where you get that word gar from, because in the Hebrew, when you get that word Gershom, it goes into Garsham. All right, going into, Moses' son, who we had with outside of the land, right, with the heathen woman. All right, but he would still be an Israelite, and he will be considered a stranger. You see?
Right. Well, he wouldn't be considered a stranger, but his name represented the Israel being outside of the commonwealth of the land of Canaan, which would become Israel. Okay. Right? Because we were all sojourning at the time, and we in the wilderness of Sinai, we were all sojourning. So Gershom, sojourner. So his son, Moses' son, represented us being on a journey outside of our promised land. All right. That's why his son name is important. So read that again, because why he named his son.
Yep. Exodus 2 and start at 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. Right.
He's whether he's referring to Egypt or whether he's referring to the wilderness, the Sinai, wilderness of Sinai. Still, we were on a journey because we didn't receive our inheritance yet. So we're sojourners. So this doesn't include everybody on the earth.
Yep.
Everybody on the earth is not sojourners. All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
All right. So read Isaiah 14:1.
Gone. It says Isaiah 14:1. It says, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. It says, and a stranger shall be.
That's it.
Gone.
So when you read it, it reads, for he will have mercy or compassion, Yahweh, on Jacob, and will choose once again more Israel. All right? And he will give them rest, settle them. All right? And continue.
Gone. It says, and the stranger shall be joined with them.
Right there. All right, and the stranger shall be joined with them. All right. Then it says, and attach himself, the resident alien, foreigner, sojourner, to them, upon them, and will add and join to the house of Jacob. All right. That stranger right there is referring to the Israelites. All right. The Gar. All right. Hagar. Sojourner. All right. So those are the Israelites that were sojourning out away from the main camp. All right. So those are the Israelites, and we're all have become strangers, exiled from the Commonwealth of Israel. We're exiled in Africa, exiled in South America, the Caribbean, North Central South America. So we're all Gar. So we came back to the fold through the knowledge. All right. So read the second verse.
Gone.
All the way through.
It says verse 2, so Isaiah 14:2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids.
All right, so this is a different people. All right, go ahead. That was it.
Gone. It says, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
All right, so it reads, and take them, peoples, and bring them to their place. All right, this is a different people, because first of all, how are you going to be joined? How the Gentiles going to be joined to Israel and then on one hand, then they're going to be slaves on the other hand. All right, you got to read the whole context. All right, so we know the Israelites are the only ones that are going to be ruling in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so I'll read 14:2. And will take them, the nations, and bring them to their place, and will cause them to inherit, give them as possession. All right, and will take them, the peoples, and bring them to their place, and will cause them to inherit, give them as possessions. All right, upon the land as male and female slaves, like it, as male servants and slaves, like it, and female servants, maid servants, and they shall be captors upon taking captive to their captors over those who once took them captive, and they shall rule over their oppressors / taskmasters. All right. So we know the Israelites are not going to be joined with actual heathen. They're going to be joined with Israelites that were sojourning throughout the ages, centuries. They're going to come back into the fold, because the ones that had us in captivity, they're going into captivity. All right, we'll read that in Revelation 13. Revelation 13 clearly says those that had, so that fulfills the prophecy of Isaiah 14. Or it just talks about the prophecy again. Them that lead into captivity will go into captivity.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not difficult to understand. Go back to Isaiah 14 and 1 and 2.
Gone. It says Revelation chapter 13 and 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
There you go. That's justice. And in the that's justice.
Yeah.
So like when America was founded, you had Thanksgiving. That was a celebration between God and the religious section of the devil. You got a religious section, you got a military section, a secret order section. Talked about this in my previous video. So the pilgrims, they were the religious section of the beast. Just like you got it, it's the same, the modern beast now. You got the Roman Catholic Church. That's the religious order of the beast. All right, that's the main religion, Roman Catholicism. But back then you had the pilgrims. Pilgrims were the religious order. Right? They were Christians. All right? They didn't have campaigns and wars to stop, God from getting their land taken and getting taken advantage of and getting slaughtered. Right alongside, then you had the military, cavalry. Then you had foot soldiers. You didn't have daily protests of pilgrims trying to stop the slaughter of the Gad, Reuben, and Issachar. All right? And they were Christians. All right? So they believed that the land belonged to them, which they were right. All right? But the thing is, what they didn't know was that they're the devil. They're the Edomites. But they stopped calling themselves Edomites centuries before that. All right? When they came into the land via the Roman Empire, all right, a lot of the native Japhites were killed off and deported. All right? And they raped their women. So the whole Europe is genetically been replaced and or mixed by the Edomite Romans. All right. So they've been stopped calling themselves Edomites. All right. So they would call themselves the whatever land that they inhabited. All right. That's how Esau rolls. He'll get into a land, and Esau don't colonize other white people, other so-called white people. They colonize people of other races. And they look different. They don't look the same. It's like the Japhites and the Edomites don't look the same. All right, the native, what they call the Picts, the native Brits, the native Spanish. They don't look like Edomites. But when they had the Romans had their campaigns, they basically It was genetic genocide. So they've been stopped calling themselves. They mixed themselves and they killed hundreds of thousands and millions of them off and repopulated the land. Take the strongest men, put them all to death. These are normal practices. Right? And the Greeks, the Macedonian Greeks did the same thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if, Japhet in the land of Macedon before Esau got into Macedonia. He killed those Japhites off and replaced them. That's how Esau rolled. Esau don't colonize other so-called white people. Right? And you do have the Roman Empire, which they kind of merged. All right, but the Macedonian Greek Empire and the Roman Empire merged. Right? Yeah, a few wars, and they pretty much merged. You didn't have to do a bunch of killing off of Macedonian Edomite Greeks. They just merged. Because they were started to replace and deport the native Greeks anyway. All right, then they mixed with each other, and then the majority genetics rule. That's how you get how they look today, because the majority rule. All right, and they had supremacy over the population. Right? That's why Esau's mad right now, because he's being genetically replaced, because his numbers are dwindling with the different groups of foreigners coming in, and you got the Latino tribes making up a large part of American citizens, and or just population, whether they're citizens or not. All right. So what Esau's supposed to do, he's supposed to keep the blood mostly his people. That's what he did in his other nations. But now he's having trouble doing that because of the birth rates are down. Now everybody's birth rates are down, I believe, but Esau, he's supposed to be the majority. All right. So those campaigns in Europe were all about genetic genocide. So when they got to Britain and France, they the Edomite Romans, they just started calling themselves French, even though genetically they were Roman Edomites. Just like you had a certain aristocracy when France conquered Britain. France conquered Britain. This is regular. You can look up regular history. The Frenchmen that replaced the nobles in Britain, Sean, they just started calling themselves they started calling themselves English. That's how Esau rolled. So a lot of y'all don't know that. So the noblemen of England, of Britain, the majority of them, or many of them, I don't know how many, they were replaced by Frenchmen when France conquered Britain. All right, they were replaced. The landowners, the lords, they were replaced by Frenchmen. So a lot of the British noblemen are really actually French. All right. So after a certain process of time, they culturally identified as English or British, but they're really French. The genetic line goes back to France. All right. But again, that's history that y'all don't know. So when that's what Esau does. When he gets into a land, he conquers it. He do genetic genocide, and then he starts calling himself after the land that he's in, or may change the name of the land. All right. Let's go back and read 1 and 2.
Gone. So it says, Isaiah chapter 14:1, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them
right, and let choose Israel, not everybody. All right, let choose the elect of Israel. The Lord's elect are the Israelites. Go ahead.
It says, and set them in their own land.
Right there, set them in their own land. All right, go ahead.
And the strangers shall be joined with them.
All right, so you got to put a period right there where it says set them in their own land, or a comma. Go ahead.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Read it again, where the break is.
It says, Isaiah 14:1, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right. And the strangers shall be joined with them and shall cleave to the house of Jacob. All right. Period. All right. Strangers, Gar, Israelites. Okay? The Israelites are journeyers. All right? Letting you know future prophecies that Israel was going to be scattered throughout the world. All right? You have multiple time periods. All right? Two notably during the Greek and Roman diaspora. All right? Well, three. And then you have the future tense, the end of the world. Here, now. Gar. All right? Greco-Roman. All right? Well, you can merge them together. So two. Greco-Roman period. All right? And then you have during this time. When the 12 tribes, well, the 12 tribes already came over. All right? The 10 tribes or 9 tribes. All right? Go ahead.
It says Isaiah 14:2, and it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord.
So this is a different people. So read it again.
God, it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh.
These are referring to actual heathens. So the first verse was referring to the Israelites, Gar, the sojourners, all right? Not universal sojourning, okay? Only the Israelites can sojourn out of their land and come back to the fold. If you're just a regular heathen traveling around, you're just a regular heathen traveling around. But an actual sojourner is someone that's sojourning from the main population of the Israelites, all right, or the land of Israel. All right. But if you're a regular heathen, you're just a car. All right, go ahead.
God says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. It says, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Right, there we go. It doesn't say that if you're a good person, you get to convert and be healed. No, you're an actual heathen. All right, you're going to be oppressed because your people oppressed us. All right? And if you didn't directly oppress us, you're still promised to be our slaves and servants. You're not going to get any undue desert. Right, so if you were a nation that didn't directly put us in slavery, you'll get what's coming to you. But you're still going to be in service. All right. You're not going to be mean to you. So if you were a nation on the list of nations where you had absolutely no contact with us, but you're still going to be a slave though. That's your designation. But Esau, the main nations that are written about that have wars with us, Egypt, different tribes of Ham, Ishmael, you're going to have hard bondage. Moab, Ammon, Assyria, Syria. Those are the main nations that are going to suffer the most. Esau, Edom. All right. Did you have something?
Yeah. It's the book of Obadiah 1:15. It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
Yeah, that's the dessert. All right. Again, if you had 0 wars with us, you're still promised to be our servant. You're still promised to be our servants. You were created to serve the Israelites. That's just the way it is. All right. That's what the prophecy is. That's what the law is. What Leviticus 25:40. And tells you what now in the book of Isaiah. At least 2 prophecies in the book of Isaiah. It tells you that you suck the breast of the Gentiles. All right. So, good morning.
Yeah. So verse 16, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink. Continually, yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Verse 17.
They're going to be taken out of power.
Yep.
There's going to be no strongholds, no power, no money. You're going to have all their money. Okay. Good.
Verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
Shall possess their possessions. Read it again.
Yep. Verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
Yeah, so we're gonna have all their money, like I said. All right. So there's no prophecy that says that the nations are going to be saved and going to be joined to the house of Israel and be equal rulers with us or sub-rulers, you know, because you have two different levels of salvation. All right, or you may have more, but one level of salvation is that you're not killed by nuclear destruction. All right, if you were not killed by nuclear destruction, you got saved. All right, but you're not going up into any chariot. All right, not going up in any chariot. You're not receiving a new body. All right, but you were saved from the nuclear destruction. Because the scriptures talk about in the nations that were saved. All right. So matter of fact, get that and find that the nations that were saved in the book of Revelation. All right, then you have the Israelites that are of the elect that are going to be delivered from the nuclear fire. All right, that are going to be delivered from the nuclear fire. That's being saved what? From fire coming down. All right. Usually you saved or spared. You use that word too. Yeah, I don't know what word is there in the Greek. It says that the nations that were saved. Book of Revelation. Give me where John said, give me Malachi 4 and 1. This is what we need to be saved from. Malachi 4 and 1.
Gone. So this, it says Malachi chapter 4 and 1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. It says, and all the proud, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. It says, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. It says, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. It says, and you shall go forth and grow up as calves at the stall, and you should tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes, it says, under the soles of your feet. And then they that I shall do this, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts.
Yeah, he saw Edom going to be burnt the hell up. All right, and that's what we need to be saved from. All right, that's what we need to be saved from the fire that was prophesied that's going to come. All right, now where is it? Where the fire is going to come? And John revealed it in his revelation. In his revelations, it was revealed in the book of Revelation the different calamities that were going to take place in Babylon, America. More, you want to read it?
Yeah, Khan. It says Malachi chapter 4 and 4. It says, remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments. Yeah, unto all Israel. It didn't say unto all nations. You know, when of course Moses sprinkled the blood upon, you know, obviously he sprinkled it upon the Israelites, you know, not upon the other nations. It says with the statutes and judgments. Yeah, of course we can read Psalm chapter 147, 19 through 20, and it goes into how, you know, the Lord is only given the statutes and judgments onto Jacob, onto his people. It says what? And I've not dealt so with any nation, except for the nation of Israel. It says, Malachi chapter 4 and 5, it says, behold, I will send you Elijah, or I believe that's it right there.
Yeah, I'm sending Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful Jay. Matter of fact, read it.
It says Malachi chapter 4 and 5, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great day, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord Yahweh. It says, and he should turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Yeah. So the elect have to be raised up, or it's going to be no flesh left to be saved. All right. So we have to be taught and find out who you are, and to continue in the commandment, in order, so the Lord to have vessels fit for salvation. And that's who we believe we are. We believe we're the vessels fit for salvation. It's more. That was it.
I kind of see.
That's the precept I asked for.
Yep. This is the book of Revelation 21, and I'll start at 22. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord Yahweh Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, For the glory of Yahweh did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be bright lights in our kingdom. It don't mean the sun is not gonna shine in it, or the moon or the stars. It just means that the light, it was so bright that it was like we didn't even need the celestial bodies. But yeah, Yahweh Shai is gonna glow. Yeah, we're gonna glow. You're gonna glow. You're gonna shine like the sun. So if we all shining like the sun, we don't technically need the sun to see for light. If we're all like lit up and glowing, Yeah, we gotta keep the damn heathens away from us because we all gonna be shining, glowing. But
Verse 24.
that's gonna make a hard suffering for them. So there's bright lights everywhere. So go ahead.
Verse 24.
Maybe they're gonna wear sunglasses or something. Go ahead.
Yep. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
Yeah. Read that again.
Yep. Verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
Yeah. So you're gonna have people, everybody, and this scripture proves that there's no such thing as hell. You're going to burn in hell forever. So how is this prophecy going to be fulfilled? All right. Read it again.
Verse 24. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
Yeah, so they're going to be in the kingdom. All right. So they're going to be seeing a bunch of light. All right. And all their possessions, their goodly items, they're going to use to build up our kingdom. They're going to bring it into a storehouse, and the heathen they're going to build. They're going to bring the supplies in to build it. Now these supplies are obviously going to have to be like raw material, and they're going to have to be blessed, cleansed, because the Lord's going to rejuvenate the whole earth. As you can say, like the products they're going to bring are going to be inferior. So when they bring the products, it's going to be renewed back into their say kingdom of heaven form or Garden of Eden form. They're not going to be bringing us inferior wood that's been polluted. They're going to be bringing us like perfect wood and stones that are perfected. All right, and we're going to have builders, and we're going to have commodity suppliers. It's going to be a continual circuit to supply the kingdom to be built in our nation, to be built with their supplies. All right, but they're not going to be polluted supplies. They're going to be perfected supplies. Our kingdom is not going to be a polluted kingdom. It's going to be perfect. So the supplies they bring have to be reach that kingdom of heaven perfection. Right, so like this tree right here, let's say if it was in China and there's somebody coming from China, it's not going to be a damn regular Chinese tree. It's going to be the rejuvenated Chinese tree, whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to cut certain materials to make them cheaper, or to make them not as durable like that. You got these other nations that do that shit all the time. They cut corners when they're building up their structures and like that. We're not going to cut the corners. All our stuff's going to be perfect. There's going to be no need to mix the metals with an inferior metal. We're going to be using the superior metals, They said when the bridge fell down in Philly, they freaking rebuilt that bridge up like super quick, and they used like some sort of sponge concrete or something like that. But I don't know how legit that structure is or like that. But built that shit quick as hell. Seems like an inferior fucking thing. It's like some sort of sponge concrete or something. I don't know.
I'm not familiar with the city planning technology. I don't know. They do have technology. But that was it?
Yeah, that
was it. So Esau, he's the main enemy of the children of Israel, us. All right? And he's going to suffer the most, the absolute most. So it is impossible give me Obadiah. So everyone in the amount of Esau should be cut off by slaughter. All right? It's impossible for the heathen, especially Esau. He's like the top enemy. Alright. And we went through this last week, same precepts. Well, we didn't bring that one out, what we just read. But Esau's the main. There's no. Give me the great Gulf fix also. That is a parable. The rich man. The rich man is not just talking about the elite of Esau. He's talking about all the Edomites. All right. But according to those two knuckleheads' doctrine, that means Rothschilds, DuPonts, Getty, Merovingian. They can receive salvation if they simply follow certain rules and guidelines. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The Gar are definitely referring to the Israelite sojourners. Right? Sojourner is a person that's in travel from their main resting place, their main home. Right? And those are the Israelites. That describes the Israelites, as we read in Exodus, the 12th chapter. Go ahead.
Gonus.
We got it.
Which one you got?
Obadiah.
Yeah, you got it.
Obadiah 1:18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. Verse 19. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead.
Did you read everybody? Mount Esau should be cut off by slaughter. Did you read that? That's
No, I didn't read that.
But that's good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be one Edomite left in the kingdom after they serve their sentencing. They're gonna serve their sentencing, and then they're all gonna be cut off. Good, you got it?
Yep. All right, so I'll start at 7. Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There was none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Everyone in the mount of Esau, all right? Cut off by slaughter. Continue reading. Yeah.
Verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Verse 11, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem.
Now, these strangers are referring to actual heathens. Good.
Even thou wast as one of them. Verse 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Verse 13. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. Verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Zephirad, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's.
Right. Yeah. Saviors, meaning the elected Israel. All right. You're going to have the apostles, and you're going to have, excluding Judah and including Matthias, I believe. Matthias was the 12th after Judah fell off. And you're going to have the 144,000, which includes the apostles. All right. So saviors, referring to the elect Israelites that have that rank, that are going to judge the mount of Esau and judge the 12 tribes. You know, meaning, give them orders what to do. You know, judgment is not just make a decision. That's what judgment means. Make decisions. So you're gonna have heads of Israel. They're gonna be making decisions. The ceremonies and high holy days. And when we're going to be gathered, congregation. And then you have the other judges, carrying out executions and work orders. You have work orders. They'll be picking. Those are that's what judges do. Judges make decisions, right? Or choices for other people. How else you got?
Gone. So I got, this is Luke chapter 16, and I guess start at the top. It says Luke chapter 16 and 19. It says, so going to it says, so it says Luke chapter 16 and 19, there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fed sumptuously every day. It says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked at his sores. It says, and it came to pass that the beggars died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom.
Exodus 15:1.
It says the rich man also died and was buried. It says, and in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. It says, and he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me.
Right, the bosom represents safety and security. All right, he was secure. It was good. And he was my bosom. I believe that's like the chest or whatever, being hugged. So he's secure. So he saw the Lazarus in Abraham's bosom. He was in the kingdom. He was safe and secure. All right, go ahead.
It says, Luke 16 and 24, and he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tongue, it's like it dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, it says, remember that remember that thou in thy lifetime.
That flame, that torment is slavery. All right, it's not actual fire, because dip his tongue would do absolutely nothing. So we know it's not actual fire that he's in. All right, dip his tongue would do absolutely nothing. That'd probably make him have even more pain, because the water going to evaporate and burn his ass. All right, so it's not fire. He's not in fire when you want to dip his tongue in water. Good.
It says Luke 16 and 25, but Abraham said, Son, like it says, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, right, and likewise Lazarus evil things.
And that's the condition of the foundation of the United States too. Remember, in that lifetime, so-called white man, you receive good things, but Lazarus, us, represents the Israelites. We receive evil things. All right. Well,
But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this,
so there we go. So the switch. So we were. Lazarus was being tormented first. All right. Same fire. Dogs came and licked the sores. Where'd you start from?
19.
No, start from the beginning of the parable.
Yeah, that was the beginning.
Read it again. I didn't hear about the dogs licking the sores. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I read it, but I can read it.
Read it again.
It says, Luke 16 and 19, there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. There was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell on a rich man's table.
Yeah, so Lazarus was in torment. He was being tormented. What?
Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores.
He had dogs of the other nations. So Lazarus was being tormented. And the fire just represents, Esau gonna suffer twice as much. All right? He's gonna suffer twice as much. But this actual event never happened. It's a parable. It's an actual event in which he's in hell, and there's a space, an actual physical space. Then you see dogs came over and started licking his sores. Dogs, first of all, dogs don't lick people's fucking sores. They would start eating them, if anything. If they would start licking them, they start gnawing at them. It says he just licked them. All right, that represents making the wounds worse. All right, making the torment worse. You're already being tormented, but now the other nations came in and helped because they are in league with Esau. All right?
Yeah.
So when dogs start licking things, then they start to bite. They lick it just to get a taste of it. Then they start gnawing into it. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And also to bring out real quick, there's basically, this one guy who believed that, a dog licking his sores will heal him. But, it got infected, and then that removed, all of his limbs, basically. So,
Shit, see?
that's what happens. Because, there's, a myth.
It's a common saying, let a dog lick your open wounds, it'll help it heal.
And then, then it's going to heal 2 times faster or whatever,
Dog tongue is cleaner than a human's, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy. They have different bacteria that they can fight off. So, but if it get on you, it'll infect your blood-borne diseases.
Yeah.
So diseases, the blood that attracts bacteria and viruses all around us. So if you have open wounds, you have blood-borne diseases. So if you lick it, more bacteria going to attract more blood-borne diseases. So yeah, makes sense to get amputated. Go ahead.
It says Luke 16 and 22, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. It says, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said,
"Yeah, so in the kingdom, Esau and Jacob are gonna be right next to each other because they're gonna be serving. They're gonna be serving us. They're not gonna be far off. That's how we know that this is a parable to symbolize Jacob and Esau, the righteous and the wicked. All right, what?
It says, and he cried and said, Luke chapter 16 and 24, it says, and he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus. It says that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue.
Yeah, again, this is a parable. This would do nothing. It would probably cause him more pain, or he wouldn't feel anything at all. It would make more sense that he would say, okay, take me out of here. But it's a parable. Go ahead.
For I am tormented in this flame. But it says Luke 16:25. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that will come from thence.
Right. At the time, they had the Romans. They were oppressing our people. So the Romans were oppressing our people. This was a symbol of the Edomites, to the Romans, which is a parable because Yahushua never spoke directly against the Romans. He always used parables. So the Romans go back to Esau. And it was a wise thing to speak in parables. So Esau, he was referring to the Romans, which in turn he was referring to Esau.
Luke 16:27. Then he said, I pray thee, therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment.
Right. So they were still alive. He was in torment, which again, this is a parable. All right, go ahead.
It says, verse 29, Abraham saith unto him, it says, they have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. It says, and he said unto him, it says, it's like it. Luke 16:31, and he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead.
Right. Because Yahushua died and was put to death. Well, he was put to death and he was resurrected. And then the apostles as witnesses. Israel didn't believe, and other nations didn't believe. All right. So, but then it became certain parts of Europe became Christian, but they were following a pagan form of Christianity. Because that came out of the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire converted to Christianity, they converted to like a witchcraft idol form of the Gospels. All right, they just basically merged the Gospels and idolatry together. That was the Roman Empire's version of to be a Christian or to be a disciple of the Messiah, Yahushua. That's more right.
That's it.
So it's impossible, absolutely impossible for other nations that are not actually Israelites, that are not genetically Israelites on their father's side, to be delivered in the chariots and to enjoy the fruits, the best fruits of the kingdom of heaven. All right. Now, like I said earlier, it's needful that give me the scripture. Isaiah says, "I'll bring our sons from afar, and bring them we're going to come on their shoulders, and bring us on their shoulders." And it don't literally mean they're going to carry us. I mean they're going to be honorable amongst those nations. We're going to be above them. Wherever we are on the earth, scattered throughout the world, we're going to come out of those nations. The Israelites are going to have a glow. Every Israelite's going to have a glow. And our stature is going to be different also. So there's going to be no confusion between a Hamite or an Israelite. There's going to be absolutely no confusion. Right? Even if we weren't glowing, you're going to see our stature going to be different. It tells you in the book of Joel about the second chapter. It's call upon my name. So if you're calling upon the name of the Lord, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, then it talks about Israel. It talks about a universal unity between nations just because you call upon the name of the Lord. Now, even if that was in fact, they don't call upon Yahushua, they call upon Jesus. It's Jesus or Jesus. Jesus. Because they didn't pronounce the J, let's say in 1492, speaking English, they weren't pronouncing the J letter. In 1200, they weren't pronouncing the J letter. So every time you say Jesus' name, just say Jesus or Jesus or Isus. Mix it up. They weren't saying it. So that means they can just change the name how it sounds at any time period they want based upon the current language. No. The Lord's name is one. It's one name. It's one God, one Messiah. All right? Messiah is Yahweh Shai. All right? Now you got it? You got something?
Yeah, Khan. Yo, and also add on to that, scriptures say, I change not. So also the Lord's name doesn't change. It says, Isaiah 43:5, fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. It says, even every one that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, I have made him.
Right, yeah. So we could be any other nations. We could have easily said, bring my sons from Moab. He says, bring my sons from Egypt. He could have said, they started naming different names of nations, but the simpleton would say, oh, look, it says right there, the Egyptians can be saved. Oh, the Moabites can be saved. See, everybody can be saved. No, he just chose not to use a more general term, but he could have been specific to specific regions. All right, and at certain times the Lord does. He'll say something general, then he'll say specific regions. All right. Go ahead, get more.
Gone, I can start the first verse.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gone. It says, Isaiah 43:1, but now thus saith the Lord Yahweh that created thee, O Jacob. It says, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. It says, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. It says, for I am the Lord Yahweh, thy power, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee.
Yeah, I gave Egypt for thy ransom. I said, give me firstborn in Egypt was killed. Give me that. Find that. Firstborn in Egypt was put to death. They didn't do anything directly evil to the Israelites. Every single one. But the Lord judges the nation. They give me Exodus 15th chapter. All right. Firstborn of Egypt, from the person to the animal, was put to death. All right. Having done nothing directly, the majority of them anyway. It had thousands of Egyptians dead and their cattle, tens of thousands of dead. You got it?
Gone. It says Exodus chapter 12:29. It says, and it came to pass that at midnight the Lord Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, or in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon. It's like a dungeon. It says, and all the firstborn of the cattle.
All right. Yeah. So all put to death. All right. So it wasn't just the government. It wasn't just the government of the Egyptians that died, or the ones that, when Jacob was working in the field, they came back and threw tomatoes at him. No, it was every single one that had no contact, that helped Israelites, that didn't help Israelites, that didn't really think Jacob was such a bad people. But they just happened to be captivity in their land. Every single firstborn indiscriminately were all put to death. That's how we know that you can't just be do good to Israel. And if Pharaoh was firstborn, he would have got put to death, but apparently he wasn't the firstborn. Unless the Lord spared him somehow. Right? But they were all put to death. You got more on that?
Yeah, Khan. It says Exodus chapter 12:30, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians.
I believe that was the last straw, right? When they said, get the hell out.
Yep. It says, Khan. It says, Exodus chapter 12:30, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead.
Damn.
Yeah. thrust us out. Yeah, Esau, he understands lawsuits and extreme violence. That's two things that Esau understands.
Yep.
I guess the Egyptians do too. Now, Babylon, America is spiritually Egypt. Not actually Egypt, but spiritually. Egypt, Rome, Greece. What?
It says, verse 31. Yeah, so Exodus chapter 12 and 31. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord Yahweh as ye have said. Also, it says, also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. Yeah, no, that's the point.
Yeah, that's see if that would have happened, well, the terrorists are going to do that. But the scriptures say, but yet there's fight. So they even more stubborn than the Egyptians. Well, the Egyptians, they were still fucked up, because they was hard in Pharaoh's heart, and he pursued them. Pursued after him. All right, so go continue to read. Let's read the pursuit, and then we jump to the 15th chapter.
It says, Exodus chapter 12 and 33, and the Egyptians were urging upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their netting troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. It says, and the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. It says, and the Lord Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. It says, and they spoiled the Egyptians.
They robbed them. What? Yeah. Taking shit they ain't even need. Give me that, give me that, give me that. Okay, we got to get in the road. Go ahead.
It says, and the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children.
What?
And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
Yeah, because you had certain Egyptians that dwelled amongst the Israelites. You know, you had some marriages and some servants. So it was a mixed multitude. Yep.
It says, and they baked. So yeah, Luke, it's like Exodus chapter 12 and 39. And they baked unleavened cakes.
Or concubines, as you said, concubines / marriages and servants. Go ahead.
It says, and they baked unleavened cakes of the dough. It says, which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened. It says, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. It says, so verse 40, it says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 400,000, like 430 years. Yeah, 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Lord Yahweh went out from the land of Egypt. Yeah, and then it goes into the Passover.
No, I said go into the pursuit. I said.
Pursuit. Gun.
Right before the car crosses that. I'll be in the 14th chapter.
Yeah, 14. So it says, Exodus chapter 1, it's like a 14:1, and the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they turn and encamp before, it says Piha Heroth, between Migdol and the sea over against Baal's Zephon, before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say to the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. It says, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts. It's like it says, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord Yahweh, and they did so. It says, and it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled. It says, and the heart Pharaoh, it's like, and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, "What?" It says, "Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us?" And he made ready a chariot and took his people with him, and he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And Lord Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. It says, and that the children of Israel went out with an high hand. It says, but it's like it says, so verse 9. It says, but the Egyptians pursued after them. It says, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army and overtook them encamping by the sea beside, it's like it says, Pihahiroth before Baal Zephon. It says, and it's like it says, verse 10. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, that the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. It says, and they were sore afraid, and the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord Yahweh. And they said unto Moses, because there are no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore, it says, hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? It says, it's like it says, is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians, that we should die in the wilderness. It says, so verse 13, and Moses said unto the people, fear not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord Yahweh, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. The Lord Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. It says, but thou, it's like it says, but it's like it says, but lift up thy rod. It's like it says, but lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. It says, verse 17, and I behold, it's like it says, and I behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them, and I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of the Most High, which, it says, went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face, and stood behind them.
All right, that was Yahweh Shai.
And it says, and it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it's like it says, and it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that it's like it says, so that the one came not near the other all the night. It says, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong, it says, east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided.
Yeah, so they were waiting there. So the Egyptians were in darkness, complete darkness, and Israel was in complete light. So it's like a ship that could, this is supernatural, obviously. This isn't something that can be explained with normal physics. All right. All right, and yeah, that was just dark in front, light in the rear, and they were basically stuck. So the Egyptians couldn't even move. So the Egyptians had to set camp up right there, because it said the wind blew on the water all night. So the Egyptians had to camp out right there. All right, so go ahead, continue.
It says, Exodus chapter 14 and 22. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the it's like it says upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watched the Lord Yahweh. It's like it says, and it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord Yahweh looked onto the hosts of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the hosts of the Egyptians, and took off the chariot wheels that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon the chariots, and upon the horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the morning appeared. It says, and the Egyptians fled against it. And the Lord Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the it's like it's in all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them.
I'll read the 15th chapter.
Go.
Somebody should already have the 15th chapter ready. Somebody else read.
This book of Exodus 15:1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my power, and I will prepare him an habitation. My father's power, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them, they have sunk into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sendest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together, the floods stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue thee, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil, my lust shall be satisfied upon them, I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow with thy wind, the sea covered them, they sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretched out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm, they shall be as still as stone, till thy people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in, and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Lord, which thy hands have established. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea, and the Lord brought them again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water.
All right, you stop there. So that was the song dedicated to the destruction of the Egyptians. All right, so you cannot say that the Egyptians can have the opportunity to be saved and delivered when the Lord killed the firstborn, every single Egyptian. All right, so when it refers to the Egyptians, any sorts of deliverance is referring to the Israelites in those nations. 100%, not 90% Israelites, 10% actual heathens. No, it talks about deliverance, it's referring to the children of Israel. It talks about destruction of those nations. All right, the Edom, Philistines, Canaanites, they're going to tremble. Wow, not because they have to have the opportunity to be delivered, no, because they're about to be conquered. And we're going to go through a lot of history, but in the eventual end, they're going to be conquered. All right, the end is all the nations serving the Israelites. All right, and they're going to get their proper nation name back also. So right now you have people living under different names that they created themselves, or named after some river or mountain, but they're going to get their proper biblical names back that they were assigned based upon Genesis, the 10th chapter. All right, so we leave that there. Hope you're edified. Shalom.